Years waiting has come to an end. The 500 miles Beckon. It's fun. It's what we've all been waiting for. It's not only the month of May. I fixed my mic, and we are ready to go around the Indianapolis Motor Speedway oval for 2 weeks, and we get to see the greatest race in the world, the Indianapolis 500. Tony's gone. What happened to Tony? Oh, well. Well, I'm David Land. This is Unverified. Tony
I'm Kyle
Donohue.
Cuthbertson.
Kyle's here. We're sponsored by Michelob Ultra for the month of May. That's awesome. Tony announced that last night.
Tony's not here. What did we just get done doing, David?
Well, here comes Tony. He's coming back. He's coming back, race fans.
There he is.
Oh, I don't know why Tony bailed on the show 1 minute into this, the most important show. But we were just we were in downtown Speedway with Marcus Ericsson, who is also sponsored by Michelob Ultra this month. And there it is. Tony's got himself a Michelob Ultra. I enjoyed a Michelob Zero at the bar because I was driving home. It was pretty good. And Tony's taking a sip already, so that's good. But yeah, we were downtown Speedway with Marcus Ericsson. We stopped at Big Red Liquors down there, and then headed over to O'Reilly's, which is pretty much the Cheers of Speedway. And Marcus signed a whole bunch of stuff for a whole lot of fans. It was really cool to see. Shout out to Andretti Global. They brought I almost said a show car, but I think it was a real car, and parked it downtown Speedway. It was a lot of fun. So it looked really good for everybody involved, I think, and we're looking forward to starting this partnership off right here on Unverified in the month of May. Tony, do we have you? Hi, buddy.
I forgot my headset at the Speedway. I did a podcast. Look, I'm going to be honest with you, David Land. I totally ripped you off. I walked around the garages and just kind of did a live podcast of who I saw, what I saw. Devlin DeFrancesco joined me for a minute, and then I think I left it up there at my desk. So, but we're here. We want to thank Michelob Ultra for being a part of the show this month, and what a great way to kick off May, the night before we go green for the first practice session. Having Marcus here in Speedway, signing autographs. He was at Big Red Liquors. So if you need some beer for the track this weekend, head on over to Big Red Liquors. 24 packs are autographed by Marcus Ericsson. And then we took him down to O'Reilly's and had a great time. So we're here. This is, I worked at ESPN Radio here in town for 10 years. And I always said the reason why I work here is to work 11 months out of the year and then to spend 2 weeks going to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. So it's here, and between the three of us, I'm just going to say it, there's not going to be any better content on the internet, on social media, than what Kyle, David, and I are going to bring you here over the next, 13, 14 days leading up to the 109th Indianapolis 500.
It's hard to believe it's that short. I mean, you think about this, and you prepare. I mean, it really is. You prepare all year for this. It doesn't matter if you're a driver, if you're a team, if you're a sponsor, if you're a media you prepare for this all year. And if you don't, I don't know what the equivalent of being a media member and missing the show is, but if you don't prepare for this thing, I don't know what you're doing. And I can tell you on my end, on your end, everybody's end here, we have just been. I'll do the Paul Page thing again. It's a year's planning. Loving hands have caressed everything, right? And now it's time to see the fruits of a year's worth of labor. And I think we're all really looking forward to it. Of course, we started off. I don't know where you want to start, Tony. We could do Dude Bros. We could talk the Indy GP. It's really, I think it's dealer's choice, because I think either one's going to get us in hot water.
Well, I mean, look, there was a lot of people that came out tonight to the Michelob Ultra event. Sam from New York, Steve Kills Doink. We've got a couple other of those big events coming up. Kyle, I know, will do a great graphic for us with the locations and the dates coming up over the next week. The Grand Prix, look, we all have an opinion on it, right? And it's cool to be out there. I think we all would agree that we want to be out there for the, a practice for the Indianapolis 500 or 2 days of practicing. But here we are. There's so much to talk about. We've got Dude Bro sources. We've got predictions to make. You did an awesome video today that I know is up on your YouTube page, kind of the bandwagoner's guide to the Indianapolis 500 and what you need to know, whether you're a diehard fan or whether you're new to the sport and you're trying to get yourself into it. Others can influence all they want, but I'm just saying, if you want hardcore, straight to the bone, straight to what's going on inside of IndyCar and the Indy 500, this is the place to be.
Well, I guess we can talk about the bandwagoners guide a little bit, because I appreciate you bringing that up, Tony, because it's something that I did. God, I'm trying to think what really started that off. I mean, it's obvious what it's inspired by. It's inspired by like those Tom Blades, Paul Page things. But I think actually the first one I did, I'd have to really think back, was when Fernando Alonso did the Rolex 24 of all things. I'm pretty sure that's what it was. Either that or the 2017 Indy 500. It was one of those two. And I just no, I'll tell you exactly what it was. It was not Fernando Alonso related. It became Fernando Alonso related, but it was Jeff Gordon doing the 2016 or 2016. Kyle, do you remember what year Gordon did the Rolex for Wayne Taylor and won it?
2017.
Okay, so the 2017 Rolex, I did this video that was meant to explain, and I was a little bit more edgy in 2017. I think we all were.
He was. He was.
I did it mainly.
I like when you're edgy.
Well, I know a lot of people seem to like edgy David, and I do enjoy. Listen, I do. There's a part of me that sure does love making people uncomfortable. It's a character flaw. I understand that, but I remember in 2017 the hype around Jeff Gordon doing the Rolex was like huge, and at that time on the internet, at least in kind of our circle, the media coverage of racing just in general was very like pro NASCAR. It was like, if it wasn't NASCAR, nobody knew what the hell they were talking about. So I said, I understand IMSA, I understand the Rolex 24, and I understand that there's a hell of a lot more to this race than just Jeff Gordon. So I used the Jeff Gordon angle to call it a bandwagoner's guide, because all the bandwagon fans were going to watch the Rolex 24. And yes, I wanted to take a shot at them. That's my personality. If you don't know that at this point, I can't help you. But the other part of it was I wanted to inform the people who were tuning in, or maybe even hate watching this video where I'm kind of making fun of NASCAR fans only watching the Rolex 24, to kind of go, hey, there's some cool cars, drivers, and teams here. You're going to see some cool racing. And as time went on, the messaging softened a little bit. It was a little bit less edgy, but for like these big events, you always have like that star driver. I mentioned Fernando Alonso running pretty much everything under the sun when his Formula One career kind of sucked, and quite frankly still sucks. Come on, Fernando, come back. Come on home, buddy. And you look at like now Kyle Larson, and the fact that the Indy 500 is attracting so many more people now. Something like the Bandwagoner's Guide, as evidenced by the views that it gets, is important. And I see the comments. We've also seen a lot of comments about some of the liveries we have put in the video. I don't know if I should be the one to comment on that. I guess I will say it, and Kyle can kind of fill us in as well. We have a team. We actually have a team for the Indy 500, which is great. Our channel actually has a couple of sponsors that we're going to announce this week. And it allows us to bring in, really put together a team to cover the Indy 500, and we've got Joe and Matt who are working on our 3D cars, and they have kind of tasked us with getting the scoop on what the cars look like. So I can assure you, outside of one car that is the right color but not the right livery, every single one of those cars is as accurate as we could possibly be, and yeah, there's one car in particular that people don't think is real that is absolutely real. I'll put it that way.
With that being said, you should support the DL 500 Club. That's what really makes this possible, to make sure that we get, I don't make any money off David Lamb, but I know that we're all in this together. And being independent journalists, as the three of us really are. I mean, Kyle did a great job this weekend taking photos and being out at IMS, and you and I and the three of us were all hitting the ground. Just talking to people, and sometimes you just got to talk to them and make sure that you know that, hey, look, we're here for you. We want to make the sport grow. We're going to be opinionated. We're going to say things that we feel the fan. We want to be the voice of the fan of, like, hey, this is what's going on. This is how people feel. This is what's going on. We're not here to screw any drivers over. We're not here to just throw stuff at the wall and hope it sticks. I mean, it all comes together. We're all friends, which is great, and we all work together. So looking forward to everything we have in the month of May coming up before we get to the GP, because we do need to rehash what happened on Saturday, because there was some storylines out of it.
We have to.
I'm going to throw you a quick dude bro source here, David Land.
Well, okay, so I have one too. So you can. We're gonna both get in trouble here. So go ahead and you get in trouble first, and I'll get in trouble.
So, according to my knowledge and people that I've talked to that I think would have very much a knowledge of what's going on, and when we get to this point, really when we get to March or April, one of the first questions about the Indianapolis 500 that we get is who's going to be the Carb Day band, right? Who's going to be playing Carb Day? And then Doug Bowles does a great job. He always announces it every year on FM 107.5 with our good friend JMV, who's a great friend of mine. But then it's like, okay, who's going to be on race day? So I have been told from sources that I would trust that race day, the two-seater, not only will be driven by Jimmy Johnson, who later on the night, as we know, is going to run the Coca-Cola 600 from Charlotte. I don't know if him and Larson are going to share a plane. I'm doubting it. I would imagine Jimmy gets out of there beforehand. We mentioned this here first. Danica Patrick has been invited and will more than likely be on the broadcast for the 500. But the two-seater, I'm told, on race day for the 190 Indianapolis 500 will be driven by Jimmy Johnson, and his ride-along companion will be none other than Tom Brady. And I know that we have talked about on this show about Tom Brady.
We've heard those two names together before, Tony, haven't we?
So we have talked about this, and it was on the right track to being a deal where Jimmy Johnson would have some ownership with Chip Ganassi and a Carvana sponsorship with possibly Sebastian Bourdais being in that car. Some things maybe got a little leaked early. Some things didn't come to fruition, and that didn't happen. But we will have Tom Brady there, and I'll just say this. If you want to know the other celebrities that have a past history in sports that are going to be there, just take a look at Joseph Newgarden's Instagram and Twitter posts today, and the athletes and former baseball players that are in that post, because they will be alive and well at the upcoming Indianapolis 500. So Tom Brady in the two-seater with his pal Jimmy Johnson at the helm.
I'm looking forward to wearing a Peyton Manning jersey on race morning. That's what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to go to the red carpet with a Peyton Manning jersey on, and I'm going to stick that purple mic in Tom Brady's face, and I'm going to say, '06 AFC Championship, bitch.
From a national standpoint of getting people to watch the Indianapolis 500 and partnering with people that have a following, I get it. The Tom Brady, Rob Gronkowski is going to be in the snake pit. I get it. But you know what? I hope every Colts fan in attendance, every Colts fan that owns a Peyton Manning, Andrew Luck, Anthony Richardson jersey, I don't care. I hope you boo the absolute shit out of him. And to be honest, I think Tom will love it and embrace every minute of it.
Well, that's what's so cool about, and this is where
Brady seems like a really cool dude. Like, he just seems like a down to earth, cool ass dude.
Absolutely.
But we hate him here in Indy.
No, but that's fun. It's fun to boo Tom Brady because he makes it fun to boo Tom Brady. That's what's great about Tom Brady. I think if this comes to fruition, I think we all kind of assumed that Tom Brady was going to be a part of this in some way. I think the big hint, if not the potential team ownership this offseason, was the fact that Gronk's in the snake pit and the fact that he works for Fox. It just makes too much sense.
It certainly does. All right, David, it's your turn to break some dude bro sources.
All right, so this is something that we've hinted about a couple of times on this show. And it's something that kind of ties into something else that we've discussed on our platforms. I mean, it was before we even had the show. I think most people assume that Andretti at some point is going to switch to Chevy. If you look across their brands, especially with the Cadillac F1 program coming into the fold next year, there's one racing program in the TWG apparatus that is not under the GM banner right now. And the question mark has been, well, who would switch? Because you assume that someone would have to switch suppliers to accommodate Andretti. And I heard a pretty credible rumor a while back that I thought, okay, well, maybe this is happening, and that was that McLaren would switch with Andretti. And I hate to use this term about myself, and I don't use this lightly, and I reject it if people say it about me, but I did a journalism, and I went to both sides of it this weekend, and I said, here's what I'm hearing. What can you tell me? And I got a no from McLaren with a lot of conditions, and I got a we're constantly evaluating using every word in the English language except for no from the other side. So I don't know if this is going to happen. I think if it does, it makes a lot of sense. If you look at the way the teams are structured, you've got 3 full-time cars and 1 at the Indianapolis 500. From the perspective of GM, General Motors, and Andretti, it would make sense to align those programs significantly, because then you could cross-promote the F1 team, the NASCAR team, the IMSA team, the IndyCar team all together. It would all be under one roof. And from the other side, I think that if you're trying to keep Honda in the sport, I don't think it's the worst idea in the world to have the most popular driver, Pato O'Ward, driving for them, especially if you get a race in Mexico. So, again, it makes a lot of sense. There's a little bit of smoke. They're, of course, not going to tell the YouTuber everything. That's understood. That's understandable. But I think if it does happen, and I don't think we're going to hear anything solid about it for a long time, but if it does happen, I think it would make sense. So we'll see.
I mean, good for you for talking to those people in person. And sometimes in the paddock, what we run into is, people telling you the PR answer, people giving you, hey, we don't know about that. Well, I'll say this, and we go through this all the time. I mean, look at what we just talked about with the 2-seater, right? We live in an era where I've got to do my job. David Land has to do their job. We want people listening to us because they know that we have insider information. We know that we have insight on things. And if you don't want something to get out, then don't leak it. Don't let it get out. Keep it to yourself. So, and then there is a balance. We're not out here just trying to screw everybody over and post things. I mean, for example, last Tuesday when I was walking around IMS, I saw that Creed was going to be sponsoring. We don't want to overstep some of the stuff that teams are going to be doing and drivers are going to be doing, but we also need to plant our flag and build an audience, as you have, which is 100% clear by your following on YouTube and our social media accounts. Is we have this information, and if a PR person or a driver comes to us, which has happened very recently, multiple times, and say, hey, don't let this get out, but here it is. There is a trust, there is a bond that we have with drivers, teams, and PR reps. But we also have to let people know. We have to, we are an information-based business, and there's not a lot of us doing what we're doing inside of the IndyCar paddock. And when we have that information, we have to ask ourselves, is it something that we want to put out? Because we're going to get some viewers and people who are going to check us out. Yes, there is that alley of it. But also there's some things that's like, you know what, let's just let that team, let's just let that driver have that. But when we're hearing rumors a year out, 15 months out, those type of things, we have to run with it, and we have to talk to people about it, and we have to figure out. I mean, last week, Alex Palou told me some information, and I was like, and I think what David, you do a good job of, and I do a good job of, is knowing who's telling you the full truth, who's only telling you the half-assed part of the truth, and who is telling you something that totally steer you in a different direction. So that's where we are.
And can I add something to that? I think one of the things, Tony, and I kind of want to emphasize a point here, is that yes, we call our show Unverified, and there are some scars from the past that we called this show because of. But I would say right now in IndyCar, and really across motorsports, but especially IndyCar, as you kind of mentioned, I can think of at least 3 different examples this weekend where someone gave me some information that I might or might not have already given you, and they said, here it is, but here's here's why we wouldn't like you to say it. We can help you out on the back end. And I say, okay, that's reasonable. I think the fact that these conversations are happening is just great. I really think it's great. There are some genuinely, and I say this, with all seriousness, there are some really great PR reps across the sport right now who understand what we do and understand the reach that we have, and they, are doing the best job that they can to work with us, and they understand. I think most, not all, but most of the folks working quote unquote on the opposite side of us, we're the truth tellers, and they're kind of the ones that have to keep the truth contained. But I think they understand too, and they're understanding more and more as time goes on, that information is going to get out one way or another. So do you want to have a good relationship with the people who are telling the truth, or do you want to have a bad relationship with the people who are telling the truth? Because if you have a good relationship with those people, they might go to you first and say, is this true? Rather than just go, just fire off some information. Because I'll tell you, I've done it in the past, Tony, and I know you have too, where you're like, I know this is right. I'm going to say it. To hell with everybody. But I think now the working relationship's getting a lot better, and I think that's just a general shift in the industry, and I need to commend the industry for that shift.
Well, I'll say this for example, and we can sit here and give examples of every PR driver that's given us stuff. So
that would be a long list.
Yeah, as I mentioned last week, and I gave hints that Creed was going to be on Felix Rosenquist's number 60 Meyer Shank entry. Obviously, the connection with SiriusXM and that partnership. We've seen Bon Jovi down at St. Pete. We've seen some sponsorships. I believe Shinedown was on the car, right? So I learned this information, and I'm going, you know what? Here it is on the garage sign, which you don't do that because fans are going to be there in the next 48 to 72 hours. But the PR reps for Meyer Shank walked up to you and me individually. For the first time, you and I are next to each other in a media center, which you're going to hate.
Yeah,
by
thanks,
about
Tony.
Tomorrow.
Thanks,
Yeah.
Tony. I appreciate that.
But they came up to us and they said, hey, we saw your tweets. We know that you were kind of teasing it, but we appreciate the fact that you didn't send it out there. And we love the fact you teased it. All good. And I said, thanks. So today I was at the track and I ran into the same PR rep for Meyer Shank. And I said, if it rains tomorrow, so we have these bullpens. For those that don't know, we have these media bullpens. And basically it's the paid media, which is the Indianapolis Star, sometimes Racer, AP, those type of people that are always going to get it first because everybody lives in a world like it's 1987 sometimes. And you'll notice when David Land or myself, Kyle, even as well, when we talk to these drivers on record, there's a different vibe. There just really is. And it's not to toot our own horns, and it's not to try to get you to subscribe to Unverified. It's the fact that we just have these relationships with drivers. And I said to this PR rep today, I said, hey, if it rains tomorrow, man, I would love to just talk to Felix and just have a good time talking about Creed tomorrow. She goes, absolutely. Yeah, let me know. We'll do it. We'll make it happen. I said, something away from the media bullpen where everybody's just kind of trying to get their one question in to a driver and 7 different people are asking questions. And it's just that kind of stuff. And, we get one-on-ones. I know you got a lot of cool stuff, especially with McLaren coming up. But, I just, if you come on Unverified and you follow David Land on YouTube or you follow myself on social media, we work our asses off to just build these relationships and try to have fun and bring you what it's like to be inside of the cockpit, inside of the paddock, inside of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. And that's what we're going to continue to do. On that note,
my God, this is a love fest. Can Kyle break this love fest?
I've been waiting to get this in for a minute because I've been seeing some comments, and I want to take so I don't have dude bro sources. I didn't go talk to anyone to get anything.
You just got to talk to him.
I've gotten some
mad at you for that.
There's been some comments about some of the things in the bandwagoners guide that people have seen.
Okay.
And I want to take partial credit for that because I did some looking around when they were unloading some cars. I walked around today, figured out some stuff, and I just want to tell you guys that everything you saw in the bandwagoners guide is absolutely correct. We weren't just guessing. We weren't just throwing maybe some of the cars we didn't include the sponsor because like you've been talking about, we have good, we don't want to piss everyone off. We want to try and help them out. But we had a video to put out tonight, and it's going to be a video that is going to be seen by the Bandwagoners Guide, like David said, is a long-going thing that everyone kind of looks forward to, and that's going to be viewed not only today but for the next 2 weeks. So we
have to be
almost
accurate.
we have to be accurate with the cars. So we had to get them right, and we had to figure it out. So maybe we didn't include the correct sponsors just to try and help out. But yes, everything you saw in that video is correct, and you will be seeing them tomorrow officially. But for right now, you're welcome.
Yeah, and that's kind of the risk that we run with that kind of a video, is that you can pick, the way I looked at it, the risk reward sort of thing is, did anyone say something to me about a sponsor or a car, with the announcement it's coming now or whatever? So I think we tried our best to take care of people, but also by the same token, to your point, Kyle, 6 hours of a PR rep being pissed off because something got out early versus 2 weeks of informing new fans what your car looks like. I know what wins at the end of the day in that scenario. So,
Mm-hmm.
And that video has to come out on Monday. And if it doesn't come out on Monday, it doesn't have the same impact. I want people, for me, or not for me, but for the good of the sport, people need to know what the damn cars look like. And Fox, to their credit, is doing that, by the way, which is good. But it's something that I've always kind of tried to lead by example on. And we're incredibly blessed with our team that we're able to have the capability to do what we do in May and do 3D renders of the cars. So yes, it's all correct. But I feel like we have to talk about the road course race now. So I'll start because I'll eat some crow because I've been eating crow all week, and I'll go ahead and eat some more crow while we're at it. Great crowd. I mean, amazing everybody for supporting IndyCar. Thank you. Because I think, as we all know, IndyCar kind of, has laid some eggs early on in the season, but that crowd was informed. It was packed on the mounds. It was an informed crowd. It was pretty obvious that everybody there was hardcore, and it was a fun experience. Got to go out there for the first half of the race on the viewing mounts, watch it with people, say hi to them, talk to them, etc. And it was awesome. It was really, really fun to watch that race. It was exciting to see Graham Rahal at the front. I'm sure we'll get into the battle and just the absolute drumming that Palou put on him in the third of the race, the final third of the race, I should say. And but yeah, no, I think the Indy GP, and there was a point where I was sitting there and I said to Kyle, "This race is never going away, is it?" And that's
I want to talk about that conversation we had because you can tell David was looking around, and it was almost too good to be true, the type of day we were having at the Grand Prix. Because we all know how David feels about the Grand Prix.
There was a point where I was mad. There was a point in the weekend where I was just pissed off.
and we're looking around, the race is about to start, and he's his last little effort of trying to get this thing to not be so good, was he's I still think this could exist not in May. And I go, no, it can't, because honestly, when you think about
Season finale.
June, July, August, it's too damn hot. September, we know how the Midwest is. It's just going to plateau, and it's going to be too damn cold. I was the reason why this is so good, the reason why it is the way it is right now, is the temperature is perfect. We're getting ready for the biggest race of the year. Everybody's out on the mountains throwing around a Frisbee. They're all half naked. They're all drinking beer. It's all great.
Hey, race fans on the mountains.
You can't do that in the fall for a season finale. You can't be half naked on the mountains throwing a Frisbee, and that's why it wouldn't work.
You can. You just gotta be brave.
Your nips might be hard.
Thanks for that contribution,
Kyle.
Yeah, but I think David kind of just at that point he realized he was wrong.
I might have. I hate being wrong, and I've been wrong a lot recently. I'm not enjoying this. I don't like this. You guys are calling me on my BS a lot, and I'm seeing it coming back at me. The Indy GP is just the most recent example.
David and I were on the phone with each other last night for an hour and a half, and there was a lot of correcting a lot of things. I thought the crowd was pretty good over the weekend. I mean, obviously the weather plays a factor in early May, and I think, I would be comfortable in saying probably 22,000 people were there. Now probably 17,000 were absolute hardcore IndyCar fans, and you probably got a good walk-up crowd of 2,000 to 3,000 people that were just really excited to be out there. The weather, they're excited for the month of May. Excited to see cars on the racetrack. So, Graham Rahal gave us a little bit of a show for that 49 laps that he led, but I think we all knew that the inevitable was going to happen, and that was Alex Palou taking the checkered flag. Ultimately, we can sit here all we want and talk about what we talked about last week as far as the fact that we're excited about what Alex Palou's doing and doesn't move the sport forward. You know what? From a historical nature, I'm here for it. I'm here to see it. It's in his own words of what he would say. It's amazing. You and I, David, talked to Scott Dixon after the race on Saturday, who was very pissed off about, just kind of how it went down as far as the tire strategy and IndyCar adding that extra. So if you need to see that, you can check it out on my Twitter timeline at Tony Dandy or on David Land's YouTube channel, breaking it down Saturday evening. But, yes, in the perfect world, the diehard race fans would love to see that be the opening 2 days of Indianapolis 500 practice, and I get it. I just embrace it. I'm just going to embrace it. It was cool to see the new shops that IMS has, the new partnerships. They've got Under Armour shirts. I'm still going to tell you to go to the shop and buy your stuff from the shop and use Unverified 15 when it comes to buying your stuff. But I just thought the crowd was great. There's a lot of new cool things, and if you haven't been out to IMS yet, you're certainly going to enjoy.
A couple of things I want to talk about. I guess we'll start with Alex Palou. I think that, yes, it was inevitable. It just felt inevitable the entire race. It was like you could play the Jaws music. And really, I think the reason that he didn't just run away at the start was the fact that he smoked the tires on the qualifying. He didn't quite have it, and Graham started on the stickers reds and tried to get away, and it didn't really work out. And I think when I walked back from the mounds, I thought about going back to the media center, and then I said to myself, I'm going to walk out on pit lane because he hadn't quite taken the lead yet, and I walked right down to the 10 pit, and I'm standing in the 10 pit watching on the screen, and he takes the lead, and the team goes crazy, and one of the guys from the crew walked up or from the team walked up, and I looked at him and I said, you need to understand and I know he understood, but I was like, you need to understand that you are a part of something that is. We've never seen, and we may never see something like this again. And I said it in a video that's coming up, actually, the garage tour that we did. Thanks for ripping that off, Tony, but it's all good. I said this in the video and Will Power said it in the post-race press conference. If he wins the 500, he could go to Detroit and win that. He might not win Gateway, but he could win Road America. He could win Mid-Ohio. He was fast at Iowa last year. There are 2 races there, everybody remembers. Can he win 80% of the we talked to a driver. A driver walked up to me and said, how early is Alex Palou going to win this championship by? And this is a driver who's not at the back of the field, mind you. Well, if he can help it, if he can help his equipment not failing him. But if that is the kind of run that he's on right now. To your point about the tires, now Scott Dixon, which I appreciate about Scott Dixon, he realizes when the Indy 500 phone or the purple mic are in front of his face, that is license to bitch, which is great. I love Scott Dixon for that reason. Scott Dixon is a real dude. He is not afraid to throw an opinion out there. I think he's tired of people calling him boring. And I've never called him boring. I would say he's brilliantly boring, much like his sponsor, PNC Bank. I appreciate what Scott Dixon had to say, but Renus VK said it best to me. Scott Dixon can't do Scott Dixon things anymore with the new tire rule. There are some drivers that like it. There are some drivers that don't like it. Will Power and and Pato Ward. I keep doing that. Alex Palou versus Pato Ward. Pato Ward.
He called Alex Palou the most favorite driver right in front of Pato Ward's garage today.
That was insane because I meant to say Pato Award, and I said Alex
Yeah.
Palou. Alex Palou, unfortunately, is not the most favorite driver.
Yeah.
Based on
Fraudulent slips were a thing of this weekend, that's for sure.
Yes.
Spoiler alert. I just needed everyone to know.
Well,
that
I definitely did the second worst Freudian slip of the last couple of days. That's for sure, Tony. But I would say that. So I agree with Pato. I think that on the street courses, mandating how many tires or you can use, or how mandating using the softs twice is a good idea. But I think right now, the natural terrain road course racing in IndyCar needs a way bigger fix than just the tires, because yes, Alex Palou had to make a pass on track on Graham Rahal for the win. But again, he was only back there because he smoked the tires on a lap that probably would have put him on pole anyway. If he doesn't do that, if he doesn't make that very small mistake, he probably beats Graham Rahal to the punch in turn 1 and wins the race by 40 seconds. So I think that the road course racing right now, natural terrain road courses, which I guess there are 4 remaining on the schedule, those are the ones we're going to have to really worry about. I think if they bring the new tire rule to Detroit, if they bring it to Toronto, I think you're going to see a good race there, at least based on what Pato and Will Power said. And we don't have to worry about the short ovals outside of Iowa. And maybe they'll fix Iowa. Maybe they figured out stuff at Milwaukee and Gateway to get that in the window. So I don't know, Kyle. Kyle's a road racing kid. I don't know if people know this. So Kyle, what does, because Will Power made an interesting suggestion that maybe we should DRS the push to pass, which I don't know if I like.
Yeah.
But
no, I agree
would that
with
be the solution?
Oh, absolutely. There's a few, like, I was like 50-50 on what I had seen on Saturday until I heard what Pato, I was kind of with Dixon until I heard Pato and Will just kind of shooting the shit on that's what they were doing. They were just up there throwing out ideas. It was amazing.
They would be good teammates, wouldn't they?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, they would be great. But Pato made a good point in that the reason that St. Pete ended up being kind of boring was if you remember, the only other yellow of the season was on lap 1. So that was the weekend where the Reds, well, that was the weekend where the Reds were just they wore so badly that everybody got off them on lap 1, and then you never saw the Reds again. So having to run them twice would completely get rid of that, because that would have been a good race had it been for guys being on, worn out red tires versus the blacks, and it would have actually made it kind of fun. And what is the biggest thing we've always complained about with IndyCar road racing over the last 2 years? It's how for 90% of the race and almost the whole thing, it's just watching guys lifting about 200 meters early than they should be because they're saving fuel the whole time. This race at the Grand Prix, the reason I thought it was so great was I think Palou was saving a little bit in the start because he knew he had scuffed Reds, but Graham everybody was just pushing. Everybody who needed to work their way through the field, they were driving. They were not saving, and that was probably the best part. Is IndyCar racing? It's felt like has just become a big, let's fuel save, let's try and get this in 2 stops, let's just, now it's push go. And I think Pato made a good point that Detroit will probably be a better race because of this tire rule, and I on the DRS I think is absolutely true, because push to pass has become so pointless. It just, even if you have 30 seconds more than the guy leading is just never going to use the push to pass. It's going to flop, and then the guy leading is going to end up having more push to pass, and he's going to use it to defend. The thing with DRS is the guy leading, if you actually have a passing problem, then just if you had DRS and the guy leading wasn't able to defend from the passing, I don't know what you want to call it, gimmick. I don't know what you'd call a DRS device, passing device. I don't know, but
They can call it a gimmick.
If the guy can't defend from it like you can with push to pass, then passing will be easier. Now the thing is, of course, the thing about DRS is it's easier to pass, but then you have to get more than a second ahead of the guy to have made that pass worth it. So at the end of the day, it evens out to where it's not, it just, if the weight of the hybrid and the way the cars are right now, it's very hard to get close to each other. At a place like the GP, a DRS zone down the front straight and Holman Boulevard, you would have seen so much more passing, I think, throughout this race than with what we have now.
There you go. There's the doctor's in. The doctor has prescribed it. Now it's time for IndyCar to take the medicine, I guess. We actually have oval racing to talk about. I posted a lot of photos of myself in an IRL hat recently, so I feel like I can't hide from that allegation anymore. So yeah, let's talk about the ovals. Tony, lead us off.
Yeah, I mean, look, we're all excited to finally. I mean, this is what we live for, right? We do enjoy the other races, but when it comes to being a diehard IndyCar fan and a diehard Indianapolis 500 fan, it all starts tomorrow. We've got 34 drivers vying for 33 spots. I guess that's where we can start, boys. I mean, we're going to have one driver bumped. There are some names that have came up. Obviously, everybody on I wouldn't say an even playing field, but everybody's waking up tomorrow morning going, all right, we have to be better than one other driver to get into the show. And we'll know on Sunday coming up with the qualifications and the back row shootout, followed by the pole shootout on Sunday evening starting at 6 o'clock. Influencers, let people know what time that is. And we're going to have a lot of fun. We're going to have a lot of fun with it. There's a lot of things to discuss. Look, Alex Palou's never won on an oval. And this time last year we were discussing – well, McLaughlin, Colton Herta, and Alex Palou, who are consistently up towards the front and win races on road courses, have never won on an oval. Colton Herta wins on an oval to end the season. McLaughlin wins at Milwaukee. So are those two drivers all of a sudden a little bit more of a chance to win this month? We shall see. But let's talk about what are the expectations Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday of dialing your racecraft, and then Friday – jacking up the boost and getting yourself inside of the field of 33 for the Indianapolis 500.
Well, Prema's the wild card because we don't really know what they're going to look like. You expect a new team, regardless if they have the experience of Prema. And I'll tell you, walking in through the garages today, Prema looks prepared. Like they have two backup cars ready to go should the need arise. They look very, all their cars, equipment, spotless, well prepared. Callum Ilott has struggled a little bit at Indy at times. He's a very good driver, very cerebral, thinks about racing. I mean, he is the kind of driver that you want to develop with, to grow with. Is he there right now in terms of an Indy 500 driver? He's got to lead that team. Robert Schwartzman is a great unknown. Robert Schwartzman has been one of those drivers who has not had a lot of track time due to mechanical failures. The GP is a great example. I think he gained 10 spots after essentially not practicing at all weekend. So he's a fast learner. Can he learn quickly is going to be the question for Robert Schwartzman. I guess it helps to have a bow tie on your car. That's going to be the question too. I think there's two questions past, I don't want to sound like Wolfgang, but there's two questions. You've got the difference between Chevy and Honda. Which manufacturer has the edge? Last year, it was very clearly Chevy, both in terms of power and reliability. But then you've got to ask yourself, okay, well, what about experience? And then, Tony, to point out another point that you always love to point out is that who's going to wall it? Because whoever sticks it in the fence first is going to be, or maybe whoever sticks it in the fence last is going to be the person who's behind the 8 ball. And if we have multiple guys crashing early on in the month, then that's where you're really going to see that pool of drivers kind of collate at the back. There's always the question of Rahal, whether or not they are actually legit with the speed or not. Graham Rahal seems to think so based on his Twitter replies to you, Tony. But I don't know. I think I think the fact that I can't specifically point to one driver, one car, or one team and say that's the easy bump is the best sell that I can make that we are doing the right thing by sending one of them home.
Well, I'll say this, and I'm very interested over the next 2 days, over the next 48 hours, where Takuma Sato and Kyle Larson are on the speed charts. Now, obviously, they wrecked in the tests, and they've had 3 weeks to rebuild those cars to where if somebody were to wall it tomorrow or Wednesday or Thursday, they'd be behind the 8 ball on rebuilding a car or just simply going to a backup car. I'm looking in the chat here, and the chat's talking about Schwartzy, guys like Jacob Abel. Where will Ray Hall be as far as what that back row looks like? I'll say this about Jacob Abel, man. I've talked to him over the last couple of days, and he is very confident in his car, which I think you have to be. Obviously, he's confident in his abilities to put that car on the show. It's a great looking livery, as we saw last week. It was announced. But again, it's going to come down to who crashes this week, which inevitably, outside of 2024, we really haven't seen. We've seen a crash or two. I think it was it? No, I'm sorry, 2023 when Catherine Legg and Steph Wilson crashed on that Monday practice. That was like the first crash of the month of May, so to speak. It's going to be interesting. Look, I had an interview with Colin Mylott. You can check it out on my YouTube page or at Tony D Indy. And I think Colum's the first person to tell you, like, realistically, we hope it goes great, but we're prepared for the worst. We've got an extra chassis. We've got a backup car. Obviously, Schwartzman's not been out there on track outside of the tests. He has a huge learning curve ahead of him in that Prema car. There are a lot of engineers on that car that really don't have the experience of running the Indianapolis 500, practicing for the Indianapolis 500, qualifying for the Indianapolis 500. Now, they do have some experience, and really at the top, Prema has done a good job of putting people into places of experience as far as an IndyCar goes, as far as an Indianapolis 500 entry goes. But those are the names I think we're going to be discussing. I'm really curious to see what Junco's Hollinger Racing can do as far as qualifying this weekend. Obviously, last year, Augustine Canapino was on a run that I feel like would have gotten him into the top 12 before that prelim issue. And where are they going to be? Because Stingray Robb historically hasn't been the best qualifier at the 500. Connor Daly has qualified mid-pack a lot for this race. He's raced 100 times better than he's been able to qualify. But you have one shot really on Saturday, maybe two shots to getting it right. And, I honestly feel the most comfortable people on Sunday, driver-wise, inside of the Indianapolis 500 paddock are the ones that are wearing polo shirts on Sunday that don't have to go back out and qualify. We're going to get that back nine shootout. We're going to get the top nine shootout. We're going to get the back row shootout. It's going to be interesting. We have, what does Kyle Larson do? We know Tony Kanon's going to be in the car tomorrow. Kyle Larson probably has a deadline coming up on Sunday of whether or not he's going to qualify. Let's say he makes that top six shootout. When does he get to North Wilkesboro for the All-Star race? So that's an added element into this weekend. So with that all being said, it's going to be interesting, and I still think Penske's going to lock out the front row coming up on Sunday night.
Well, I hope they don't lock it out, but I think there'll be two on the front row. I don't think they're going to lock it out again. Kyle, what do you think? What's your interpretation of all of our brain rot?
I think you're in the right wheelhouse. So I'm throwing something different that I saw in the chat.
Ooh. All right.
Someone in the chat mentioned that Dry and Reinbold's not looking too hot right now.
I was going to mention them. Mention them. I think so. Here's the uphill battle with Dry and Reinbold. And let me see if you think I'm right here, Kyle.
Okay.
They are the team easily that has the least amount of experience with the hybrid being on the car.
Yep.
There you go.
I think that's number one. I think that's bingo and why they probably weren't showing the best of speed at the test. And you also remember that Jack Harvey wasn't able to go out at all on the first day
with a hybrid failure.
Yep. So yeah, I mean, I don't think it looks great, but I do think that there are other teams that are off worse than them right now. But it's a long week, so I think they're definitely on the short list of teams to be on the lookout for if they find speed or if they go down from here, right? So, because I mean, there have been years in years past. There's always at least going to be that one team that we think today is surely in the shit, and then they end up easily qualifying. I can think of. I can think of a few times I think Junco's did that.
Yeah,
going into the month, we were like, "Oh yeah, man, they're easy out," and then I think Callum Ilott would end up being like 23rd, like easy in. It's like, oh, okay, so like we don't have to worry about them, right?
With that being said, boys, let's make some bold predictions on the week. Obviously, Marco's gonna get in tow and be in the top 5 or top 7 of the speed charts, and it really won't mean anything.
Already did that.
Yeah, he did that in the test.
And he'll do that again. Where are we? Who's our prediction for the pole? I know it's way too early because we haven't even seen a car on track in the month of May when it comes to the oval. But where are we? Who's going to be flirting with that bump? Who's going to be flirting with that front row?
It's hard for me to think that it's not going to be kind of the same that it was last year, which would be Penske versus McLaren. But then at the same time, I'll say this. And they could have been sandbagging. I didn't think McLaren went all that fast in the April test.
You have to remember they weren't on fire last year during the week of practice or qualifying.
Correct.
I mean, Rossi was the best car, but I mean, really until the last 20 laps of that race. And I still think within the last 20 laps of that race, Pato had a shit car.
Yep.
That's the crazy thing of last year's finish is Pato's car was not good. I would not have called that a good car. And he was still contending for the win.
So then I would say, if I'm looking at it right now, I think you know what's weird is we're talking about, I think Chevy I think we need to consider Chevy Penske. I think we're saying it wrong. I think Penske versus Andretti, Ganassi, and Shank. Would that be fair?
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. So that's what I would say. And so I would say the top drivers from those teams would be, I would look at Scott McLaughlin, Joseph Newgarden, Elio Rosenquist, Palou, Herta, Kirkwood. Is that unfair?
I'm going to make somebody mentioned that Dennis Dreinbull said today that the cars are ready. They have solved some issues. We will see, and really we won't probably get a good perspective on who's going to be flirting with that fast six and who's going to be flirting with that back row, obviously, until Friday. I think we're going to have a Penske on the pole. I think Scott Dixon, Alex Palou are going to be in the first two rows. I think drivers like Robert Schwartzman, Marco Andretti are going to be flirting with that 34th position.
Marco,
and then some. Yeah, I'm going to go with Marco.
Okay.
And this look, he's been driving ARCA. He's if he gets in a race, I sure as hell hope that he works on his racecraft and his in and out laps because last year they were absolutely atrocious. They were the worst in the field. Obviously, what I have learned is he is coming back next year for the 500. But I think. It's been kind of hit or miss for Andretti qualifying, and yes, we are 5 years removed from Marco qualifying on the pole in 2020.
That's been a long 5 years, Tony. That's been a long 5 years, buddy.
We talk about things in IndyCar racing that I kind of question. Danica's win in Japan, the 2020 pole, those type of things. We'll see where Marco's at when he rolls it out. Louis Foster, as we mentioned, is going to have a new sponsor. Where's Rahal going to be? Devlin told me today he's happy with his car. He's been fast. He's been able to pass. Let's see what those Rahal cars do by themselves qualifying. Will Louis Foster be flirting with that 34th position? I don't think that's unrealistic to mention that, just based on the non-experience and where we have seen the Rahal cars over the past 2 or 3 years when it comes to qualifications.
A name we have not mentioned once is Ed Carpenter Racing.
Yeah, I was just about to say that. Because I really have, after David, I really have no predictions to give.
Sorry, Kiffin. I gave you Kiffin.
Well,
take Kiffin. Take him.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I kind of just now looking at road course races has been a top 10 guy. I think he's going to be a name to look for all week. You can't forget him. I think Christian Rasmussen as well in a second year. Last year, he was completely amazing. Small shout out to Kiffin because we have been joking about it, but he is in a Ganassi car. He has been turning it up the last few weeks, and he did finish 11th in last year's 500. So with a little bit more experience and a clean race, don't be shocked if Kiffin ends up in the top 10 in the race. That's probably my biggest prediction. And how about this? How do we think Rinus VeeKay will be this year? Obviously, that's a car that got bumped last year. This car wasn't even in the race, but we know how good Rinus has been at the Speedway. What is he going to bring to that team? And with him already being good this season, Where's he going to end up, you guys think?
Here's my quick.
I think
got
we
a
lost
quick one
the
on
feed
Reese.
there. I think we lost.
What?
Hold on. I think we lost the feed there for a minute. I will follow up what you said, Kyle, and I will make a bold prediction that Christian Rasmussen will be the highest finishing and qualifying Ed Carpenter racing car for the 2025 Indianapolis 500.
And he's got no faith in Rossi.
Yeah,
man.
that's crazy.
I'm excited. Rossi just became a dad. Congratulations to him. When it comes,
that's insane.
When it father. Well, I mean, Rossi will probably be motivated because his boy Tom Brady will be there, and I'm sure Joseph will be motivated because his boys from former Yankee players, and then Tom Brady will be there. He mentioned that he's a Patriots fan. As far as Renus goes, man, is that guy having fun? And my goodness, I don't care if you're a Chevy or a Honda powered team, you have to be looking at Renus to fill out your roster for the 2026 season. He's been so good on the road courses. He's going to be fast. That Dale Coyne car has had some speed in it. I think Renus is going to qualify 10th and work his way up towards the front on race day.
10th is wild, but I think what I would say about Renus is that, yes, to Kyle's point, that car was bumped last year. So I think this is going to be our best test of how much of a difference Renus VK makes sitting in that cockpit. And I've heard it from some people who are close to Renus that he really is that good, and people have been sleeping on him. And the fact that that car's 10th in the points right now, I think should tell you everything you need to know about him.
I'm not going to say he's going to win the race, but I think Renus is going to qualify well. He always does, and he's going to run inside of the top 10 most of race day.
So if Renus takes a car that was bumped in last year's race into the top 10, and given what he's already done with that car, we could table this discussion. I'm sure we're going to talk about it more, but where does he land next season? Because there's no way, any team, big team should allow Renus VK to go into Dale Coyne Racing, a team that was nowhere last year, get it to 10th in the points, and just say, we don't need him.
Yeah, Renus is certainly going to be poached by another or a bigger team. You guys are wild on this Kiffin Simpson stuff. I mean, I'll give him the credit for credit's due. He's been smooth. He's been consistent. Taylor Kyle has worked with him. Dario, Scott Dixon, they've helped him. But I will say this about Kiffin Simpson. There's always a driver. I think you guys will agree with it. There's always a driver at the end of the day that you're like, oh, shit, that guy had a top 12. Like we didn't really hear about him most of the day, but he was smooth and consistent. I think that's going to be Kiffin Simpson. To say that he's going to be in contention for the win is absolutely wild. I know a lot of it's in jest.
Here's the thing that always scares me about the Indy 500.
There you go.
Tony.
I know where you're going.
You know where I'm going with this. There's so many cars in the lead lap, and they're so close. We're one fuel mileage race away from just somebody absolutely freaking random winning this. But again, to Kiffin's credit, he's stepped up. He's out.
Yeah.
He's out qualifying Scott Dixon. And I get it. His car conked out. And did we ever find out exactly what that was? I think they reported gearbox, but I'm a little bit skeptical about that actually being the issue that took Kiffin Simpson out of the race. But is it out? Because there was a point where I would have said these same things about Marcus Ericsson. Okay. So it's the same. Well, not the same car. That's in the museum now, but same team.
Yeah.
Same number. Is it? Are we way off base to talk about Kiffin Simpson at least as like an outside dark horse? I mean, he's in a car that theoretically we are expecting Alex Palou and Scott Dixon are going to be there in contention with. So
he will finish in the top 10.
I'm confident saying that he could be top 12.
Top 12, interesting. Well, it depends how high the attrition rate is too. I think that's part of it too. Do I think Kiffin Simpson's going to go up there and take the lead? Probably not. But then again, I would have said the same thing about Max Chilton, and he did that in that. Well, it might have been the same chassis actually. Now, come to think of it, might have been the same car, but
who knows? Like chassis's been around since.
Put it in the swear jar. Put it in the swear jar. Oh, quick, dude, bro. I won't give super specifics, but there's some new car news coming. All right, sorry, that was it.
Oh, is it the same car news that I screened out of O'Reilly's?
Yeah, you. I'm not telling you anything ever again. I'm never telling you anything ever again, Tony. I have given Tony Donohue so much information, and all he ever does is use it against me.
Not in any. I always keep it calm, and people that need to know end up knowing, but people that don't need to know don't end up knowing. All right, David, you're going to have a video recapping every day. I know you have some awesome historical features coming up that you and Kyle are working so hard on the David Land YouTube channel coming up over the next couple of weeks. Tell our listeners out there, yeah, mom and dad are fighting again. People love it when David Land and I fight. But tell everybody out there what's coming up on the David Land YouTube channel the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, we've got a garage tour tomorrow morning. We filmed that today. Got a lot of dirty looks from mechanics. Hey, guys, we don't care about your dampers. We don't care. We don't care. So calm down. We don't care. We do care about your liveries.
We're not being paid by the opposite manufacturer to steal your stuff.
No, we are not being paid.
Which 100% happens, but it ain't happening with us.
I can without a doubt assure you that is not happening. You got me on my game. Oh, we're doing the garage tour. It's going to be fun. There's a Newman Haas car. Oh, that's so sexy. He's getting me off my game again. He's showing me things I like, talking about things I don't want to talk about. But the big thing I think is going to be obviously the end of day videos where we show off the speeds. Oh man, look at that 95 Lola. He's getting the 95 500 out. Daily reports. We've got the history segments coming that are included in those. I think we've got a really good formula for the daily reports, and obviously, if anything else happens to break during the week that requires another video, that's happened before, where we do 2 videos or 3 videos in one day. We hope it's not quite that busy, but we're prepared if it does happen. We've got a 3D rendered starting grid coming. That's no secret. It was a secret for a couple of years. We tried to keep that down, but now that Fox is almost certainly going to copy it, I don't feel too bad about talking about it. So we're going to keep doing the 3D starting grid. Got the tier list coming. Got a lot of cool stuff that I think a lot of people are beginning to feel are traditional coverage items for the Indy 500. And I think, what I try to do on my channel, my vision has always been to kind of fill the role of what ESPN used to do with like SportsCenter or Speed Vision, and talk about the Indy 500 and give daily reports. So I think we filled that a little bit. I don't think it's quite where I want it yet. Believe it or not, I have a vision for it to be really, really cool someday. We just need the funding. But yeah, Tony, I guess I'll shoot the question back at you. What's happening in the world of the wild world of Tony D this week? And it's got to be PG.
We do need to get some merch as far as the Unverified show goes. We'll work on that with our great friends at the shop. They have some really cool drops, some 1995 merchandise, some other cool Dan Weldon merchandise that just came out. They just released their line of our friend Connor Daly's merchandise, so use Unverified 15. We want to thank Michelob Ultra, as always, for partnering with us. So go head out, grab a Michelob Ultra when you're at a bar here in Speedway. Also, at a grocery store, bring that Michelob Ultra in. We love to support the people that support us. And look, I'm just going to say this, and I think the people that are listening right now know this and that follow us. We're just 3 passionate dudes about the sport that want to be involved and want to bring information to you. And we want to make you feel like you're at the racetrack, because I know a lot of people can't make it out there during the week. They want to talk. They want to hear from us, giving our opinions, talking to drivers, giving our upcoming expectations. So we're going to have a lot of fun over the next couple of weeks. We'll hopefully get some merch. David, I know you got some merch coming as well, but just absolutely looking forward to the 3 of us knocking it out of the park here over the next week or so. We'll let you know when the next Unverified is. It's kind of like go as you can. We decided Monday night was the best way to do it. Just kind of get yourself ready for tomorrow. Hopefully the rain stays away. How much Michelob Ultra did I have before you yelled it at O'Reilly's? I had plenty, don't you worry. We're having a good time. So, Kyle, the floor is yours. Plug what you're going to be doing this week, and we'll see everybody out at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway coming up tomorrow.
Yeah, what are you going to be doing this week, Kyle? I need to know.
The Speedway, the 500 miles Beckon, the Michelobs are flowing. The people are out in Speedway, Indiana, having a great time. I will be out there filming. I will be editing the history segments. Those are all me. Well, not all me. David has to fix my script.
I'm your ghostwriter. I'm your ghostwriter.
Yeah, he's my go. He's a little. Yeah,
David won't ask me to write anything. I'll write it for him. He just got to ask, but he doesn't want to do that.
I just got to talk to you, I guess.
Yeah, he's got to talk to him. I edit those.
Kyle
Well,
sent me
okay.
a Chat GPT built script. I'm sorry, Kyle. I've got to
Listen,
expose
I do a lot of things. I'm
That was
very
tough.
busy.
That was a tough. I was like, Kyle, it didn't rain in the 2005 Indy 500. You didn't train ChatGPT very well. That's all.
Well,
I'm
you got to
saying.
ask ChatGPT everything twice. Ask him twice.
Yes.
Really?
Yeah, noted.
Sam's watching the next game. Go Pacers. Pacers look awesome last night.
Yeah, they did.
Kyle and I love Pacers and racers. Can't say the same about David.
Listen,
but,
I like the Pacers and I like the
Pacers
racers.
get
You just got to keep them separated, like the '95 Cleveland intro.
You can't separate them if you want to win a chip, baby. But anyways, I'll be doing the history segments. I'll be out shooting. I'll be out just in general, having a good time. I'll be.
Make sure you say hi to us if you see us at the racetrack, in the garages, in the pits. We'd love to hear from you. Get your opinions. If you like the show, like and subscribe.
Or if you don't,
us across our social media channels. Go ahead, David.
Or if you don't like the show.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
we actually had people at the GPs come up to us and say, "Hey, I didn't like what you said this time," and we were like,
say it to me, not to David, because David will get
"Thank you for saying it. Thank
him.
you for telling us." Like, we actually appreciate that.
I only get pissed off when people chirp at me on Twitter and don't do it in real life.
Yes. If
true.
you're gonna chirp at us on Twitter, at least come and say it to us. Like,
we are working on a new studio. That's kind of been something that we need to deal with, but we are doing what we can right now here with it. So enjoy yourself at Michelob Ultra. We can't wait to see you out at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway as we prep for the 109th running of the Indianapolis 500. For Kyle, for David, thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you coming up over the next few days at IMS.